Well, I made it to the second round of the Barbecue Pitmasters of YouTube cooking competition. And first off, I want to thank everybody that voted for me. I'm going to ask that you vote for me again. On this video, I'm cooking up against Mama and Papa Joe's Barbecue. Now, we were selected to cook the steak of our choice, and to me, there is nothing better than a good, thick cut tomahawk. Stay tuned. All right, check out these beauties, 2.5-inch Wagyu ribeye tomahawks. Now, as you guys may know, the tomahawk does have a really long bone. The cowboy cut does have about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches of bone left on the ribeye, but the meat is still the same, okay? It's still a ribeye. If you can see it here, look at this beautiful marbling. Now, I am gonna be trimming the ribeye, but I do wanna talk about trimming this. Now, if you can see this fat seam that comes right here, this is the eye right here. So what you want to do is you want to trim some of the fat. You don't want to trim all of it off, because what happens, if you take this fat off, this ribeye will come apart on you. Same thing right here, okay? I don't want to take much off because I do have this fat seam right here. And if I get too close to that, this ribeye will come apart. So what I'm going to do is simply take some of this fat off. And again, try not to get too close to that fat seam, because this ribeye will unravel on you, okay? Same thing right here, just a little bit. You want to leave some of the fat on there, and that looks good to me. I'm going to do the same thing to this other tomahawk steak, okay? Just a little bit of fat. Leave the majority of it on, and that way it doesn't come apart on you. Take some of the silver skin off, and trim some of this fat off right here as well. There we go. All right, I'm going to take some of the silver skin off of this spinalis as well, this ribeye cap right here. This is the best part of the ribeye right here, okay? This is the most tender piece of meat on the ribeye, and that is absolutely delicious. So when you're shopping for ribeyes, make sure that this piece right here is nice and thick. Okay. Just trying to clean them up a little bit more. All right, so I've got the tomahawk steaks as trimmed as I want to get them. Now with this kind of meat, I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, hey, just use salt and pepper. That's all you need on a good quality piece of meat. So that's exactly what I'm going to do to this steak right here. I am using this fleur de sel, which is a salt from France. Now I am adding enough of the salt because this is a really thick piece of meat. So make sure you put enough salt and pat it in there. Flip it over. If you guys haven't tried this fleur de sel, I highly recommend it. Check out the link inside the description box to Amazon. You can get it there. It is absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to drop some of the salt on the cutting board and run the edge of the ribeye on that. All right, next I'm just going to get some coarse black pepper, and again put enough of this black pepper on there. Get the other side as well. Then go ahead and get the edges. Okay, I'm just going to move this one aside and bring in the other tomahawk steak. All right, so here's our second tomahawk. Now I'm going to be using a little bit of olive oil, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Just as a binder. So on that salt and pepper tomahawk, I didn't feel I needed to add a binder such as olive oil because the pepper is a lot finer and so is the salt compared to the rub that I'm gonna be using on this steak. Now this rub right here is my absolute favorite rub for steak, and that is the California Tri-Tip from Cattleman's Grill. I gotta tell you, if you guys have never tried it, I highly recommend it. It is a coarse rub, as you can see right there. But not only is it good on tri-tip, it is excellent on steaks. Okay, so add enough and pat it down. Remember, this is a really big cut of beef. Flip it over and season the other side. Just like that. Go ahead and grab your edges as well. All right, so I'm just gonna place these tomahawk steaks on this cooling rack for about 45 minutes and let them come up to room temperature. Let's head outside and fire up my frontiersman. Stay tuned. All right, so we're outside at my Yoda frontiersman. Now I do get a lot of requests to show how I start my firebox. So I do have a pile of charcoal right in between two splits of post oak. And what I'm gonna do is I'm using my grill gun right here to start that charcoal, and that is gonna ignite the post oak as well. So here we go. Just turn on your gas, hit the trigger, and light it up. All right, so that took about 3 minutes, and as you can see, the charcoal is lit, and so is that post oak. So the smoker is gonna take about 45 minutes to come up to 250 degrees. I'll see you guys back in a bit. Stay tuned. All right, so my smoker is running at 250 degrees. I'm gonna cook these tomahawks on the top rack on the left side of my Yoda frontiersman. So I'm just gonna slide my shelf out. Now I do wanna show you how I place these tomahawks on this rack right here. As you can see, the fat that is on these tomahawks, I'm gonna place that or face that towards that firebox. That way these steaks are protected from that heat that's coming over and that smoke. So I'm gonna give these about 30 minutes. At that point, we'll come back and I'm gonna put a probe in them. Stay tuned. All right, so it's been 30 minutes and the smoker is holding steady at 250 degrees. So I do have my meter probes here. Again, not a whole lot has changed. I'm gonna pop this right in between this tomahawk, right in the dead center, okay? Now these meter probes do have a line. You wanna make sure that that line is all the way in the meat to that point. And you can go ahead and stick the probe in this one as well. There we go. So I've got my meter block right here. I'm just gonna use the meter app to monitor the internal temperature of these tomahawk steaks. I'm looking for 120 degrees. Once we get to that point, I'll bring you guys back. We're gonna be reverse searing these right on the firebox. Stay tuned. All right, so it's been an hour and 5 minutes and the internal temperature of our tomahawks is 120 degrees. So I'm just gonna pull them off and let them rest on a rack. Let's see if I can keep it from falling off the rack there. There we go. I'm gonna cover these in foil. I'll bring you guys back to my firebox. Stay tuned. All right, so I've got the lid to my firebox open. I've got some melted butter and I just smashed 3 cloves of garlic. Threw that in there. I've got some rosemary that I'm gonna toss in the butter as well. Let that get really nice and hot. Now I did add 2 more splits of wood into my firebox. That's gonna get these grates extremely hot, perfect for our searing. Stay tuned. All right, so the butter is already melted and getting nice and hot. I'm just gonna move this aside. I'm gonna grab the steaks. All right, so here's our salt and pepper steak going on first. Just put it on there and press down. Same thing with our California tri-tip steak. Put it on there and press down. Let me give this about a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and baste these steaks with some of this garlic and rosemary infused butter. Just over the top like that. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna give it about a quarter turn. Both steaks. Just like that, and push down. Ooh, we got a firecracker. Gonna give that about a minute. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip these steaks. Look at that. Push down. And push down again. And baste the top side of it. Oh, this is magical right here. All right, gonna give these a quarter turn. And press down. All right, I'm gonna pull these steaks, let them rest for about 30 minutes. We'll see you guys inside. Stay tuned. All right, so the steaks are resting. I'm gonna make some steak fries. I've got some russet potatoes, so we can make these steak fries. I left the skin on there. I've got some canola oil, and I am using my Heston Q induction burner. Check out the links if you wanna grab yourself one of these bad boys. I am using this basket right here, so I don't burn myself. Just drop a few of them fries in there. You can add a few more in there. Now you do want to move the fries just a little bit so they don't stick to each other. Okay. I'll bring you guys back as I pull these out. Stay tuned. All right, so the fries have been frying for 10 minutes and they've got a nice golden brown color. Look at this. Just let some of that oil drain off. Put them in a pan with some paper towels to catch the excess grease. I'm going to sprinkle these with some of the fleur de sel. Just like that, mix them up. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of these fries done. We'll see you guys back. All right, so the fries are ready and the steaks have been resting for 30 minutes. Look at these bad boys right here. Look at that. Now I was monitoring the temperature and it did get to 137 degrees while it was resting. So I'm just gonna pull my meter probes out. And look at these bad boys right here. Look at the juices that are running out of it. Oh yes. Just gonna baste it with some butter. This is our rosemary garlic infused butter. All right, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna plate these up. Just grab my plate right here. I'm gonna grab some of our steak fries that are still nice and warm and crunchy. Let's get a big old bed of fries going right here. All right, just like that. So next I'm gonna grab my steaks and this is what I'm gonna do right here. Look at these beautiful steaks with the freshly fried French fries, our steak fries. Does that not look amazing? Let's cut into it. All right, I cannot wait to dig into these steaks, but before I do, make sure again that you vote for me if you like this video. Check out Mama and Papa Joe's video. Their link is gonna be down inside the description box, and also a link where you can go vote for my video. All right, so a lot of people like to take the bone off. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna cut right in the middle of both of these steaks. This steak right here is our salt and pepper only. And let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Look at that color right there. That is a perfect medium rare. So this steak right here is red all the way from the bottom to the top. It's even all the way around. And this happens because I let my steak come up to room temperature, okay? So that is important if you want to do that. If you have a cold steak, well, sometimes you're only gonna get red in the middle. This is absolutely perfect right here. So this is our California tri-tip steak right here. Let's cut into this bad boy as well. Look at that, same exact thing. Nice and juicy, nice and pink, all the way from the top to the bottom. Even has a smoke ring right there, okay? Just gonna cut myself a nice little wedge, and this is extremely tender. Okay, just gonna lay it on the top like that. I'm gonna get the same slice from this steak right here. I'm gonna put my best steak seasoning up against nothing but salt and pepper. Let's give these a shot. All right, let's dig into these steaks and see how we did. Just gonna cut a little wedge right here. And man, this is extremely tender. I could probably cut this with a butter knife, it's so tender. I'm using my Dale Strong carving set, and that's probably why it's so tender as well. So I'm gonna try these salt and pepper only so I don't ruin my palate with the other seasoning. Here we go. Holy smokes, that to me is absolutely perfect. It has a good smoky flavor, and that char from when we seared it is fantastic. Now I'm gonna try Old Trusty, the California Tri-Tip, my favorite steak seasoning, up against salt and pepper. Here we go. All right, so this steak right here with the California Tri-Tip is extremely delicious. It has an additional flavor, and that's why that is my favorite steak seasoning. Nothing wrong with the salt and pepper steak. In fact, this is probably the best steak I've ever had until I tasted this one. These are absolutely delicious. Now let's see how we did on our steak fries. Just gonna add a little bit of ketchup right here. Look at that, here we go. Those steak fries are nice and crunchy. I gotta tell you, I am a meat and potatoes guy, and if you are, this is a dish for you. As I mentioned throughout this video, I'm leaving a ton of links inside the description box. Check it out. You're gonna find some of the items that I use in this video, a link for Mama and Papa Joe, a link where you can go vote, and also the additional 9 channels that are cooking in this competition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this is your first time here, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions related to this cook or anything barbecue, ask them down below. Until next time, Joe with Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya.
He got me high above, like the sun by the moon. He's a star, baby. I'm